Vanguard Station floated on the farthest edge of human space, a small metal island surrounded by a sea of stars. It was not beautiful in the usual way. Its walls were gray, its corridors narrow, and its atmosphere always buzzing with the soft hum of reactors. But to the people who lived there, Vanguard was home. It was a shield against the unknown, a watching eye facing the silent darkness of unexplored space. Commander Race Calder walked through the command deck with the same steady pace every morning. He was a tall man, calm in the way that made people straighten their shoulders when he passed. Years in the Frontier Defense Corps had carved discipline into him. He liked order. He liked knowing where everything should be. Chaos, he believed, could be survived only by routine. His crew respected him deeply. Some feared him a little. And most of them had learned that Commander Calder did not talk much unless it was necessary. His voice was not loud, but it carried authority. It made people listen. But things were about to shift in his quiet, predictable world. It started with a message blinking on his datapad. New arrival, Dr. Lyra Voss, xenolinguist, transfer from Research Station Delphi. She was not expected. No request had been sent. No warning from command. Just a simple note. Race frowned slightly, but only for a moment. He accepted many strange things on the frontier. Another scientist would not ruin the order of his station. At least that was what he thought. The docking bay doors opened with a long hiss. Out stepped a woman with a small bag over her shoulder. She was not tall. She was not loud. In fact, she moved with a softness that made her almost blend into the metallic background of the station. Dr. Lyra Voss. Her eyes were the first thing people noticed. They were calm but observant, like she was always listening to something others could not hear. She looked around slowly, as if she were memorizing every detail. The docking clamps, the metal floor plates, the blinking signal lights. Race walked toward her. "Dr. Voss?" he said. She nodded. "Commander Calder, thank you for receiving me." Her voice was gentle, but clear. It did not try to demand attention, yet it stayed with a person after hearing it. Race checked her transfer file one more time. "Your arrival was sudden. We were not informed ahead of time." "Delphi sent the paperwork late," she replied calmly. "But I assure you, Commander, I am here to work, not to cause trouble." Race gave a short nod. "Very well. I will have someone guide you to your quarters." She smiled slightly. "I would prefer if you guided me yourself. It helps me understand the command structure better." For a moment, Race paused. It was unusual for new staff to make requests on their first minute aboard the station. But there was no disrespect in her tone, only mild curiosity. So he agreed. As they walked through the corridors, Lyra studied everything with quiet interest. Other crew members stepped aside when they saw the commander, offering polite nods. Some whispered to each other. "Another scientist? She looks too calm for this place. Hope she lasts longer than the last linguist." Race ignored the whispers, but Lyra seemed to pick them up anyway. She did not react. She simply walked with steady steps behind him. After a few minutes, she spoke. "Your station is very organized. I can see your influence everywhere." Race blinked. "My influence?" "The way people move, the way they speak, the way the corridors are kept. Someone with a steady mind is leading them." It was a simple observation, but no one had ever said something like that to him before. He did not know what to say, so he kept walking. She did not push further. Quiet, respectful, observant. He began to think she might be different from the others who had come and gone. 3 days passed. Lyra settled quickly into her work. She requested access to sensor logs, communication records, and old data from alien borders. She did not complain about the station's strict schedule. She did not ask for special tools. She did not disrupt anyone. But somehow, Without trying, she became known. People noticed how she always listened before speaking, how she asked simple questions that made even senior scientists pause and think, how she could work for hours without showing stress, and most of all, how she seemed to understand the station's quiet rhythm better than newcomers usually did. Reyes watched her from a distance at first. It was his duty to know how new staff adapted, but soon he found himself watching her because she had an unusual presence, soft but steady, a silent kind of confidence. One evening, as he stood in the observation room studying the nebula ahead, he heard footsteps. She approached quietly. "Commander," she said, "you have been staring at that nebula every night." "It is our main border marker," he replied. "We must monitor it. Unexpected things come from unexpected places." She stepped closer to the large viewport. The nebula glowed like a cloud of blue fire, shifting and pulsing with slow waves. "Do you expect something to come from there?" she asked. "Not yet, but the frontier doesn't stay quiet forever." Lyra folded her hands behind her back. "I believe that too." The room fell into a calm silence. Strangely, it did not feel uncomfortable. Instead, it felt balanced. Reyes found that unusual. He was a man who liked silence. But this was the first time silence felt shared. Trouble began at the end of the week. A junior officer rushed into the command deck. "Commander, we have movement on the long-range array." Reyes straightened immediately. "Show it on the main screen." A pattern of strange pulses appeared. They were not star signals, not ship engines, not anything the station had seen before. "Could be interference," the officer suggested nervously. "No," Reyes said. "Too structured, too intentional." Lyra entered the room at that moment, drawn by the alarm. "May I see?" Reyes gestured for her to approach. She studied the pattern quietly. Her brows lowered a little, not in fear, but in deep thought. "This is not random," she said softly. "It's repeating, not perfectly, but with purpose." "You believe it's communication?" Reyes asked. "I believe it is trying to be," she replied. The officers exchanged uneasy looks. Vanguard Station had faced alien scouts before, but this was different. This was unknown. Reyes folded his arms. "Can you translate it?" "I can try, but I will need time, and I will need access to your early frontier logs." "You have it," Reyes said without hesitation. The crew looked at him in surprise. He normally gave access only after long review. But he had seen something in Lyra these past days: precision, patience, and a sense of silent understanding. She did not guess. She observed. She did not exaggerate. She explained. She worked like someone listening to the universe itself. So he trusted her. Lyra nodded gently. "Very well, Commander. I will work through the night." Reyes paused. "If you need anything," she met his eyes, "I will ask." And for the first time, he felt something shift in him. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, but something. Hours passed. Lyra sat in the research lab surrounded by screens, lines of signals, and translation programs. Her face was calm but focused. Reyes checked on her quietly from time to time. She never seemed bothered by his presence. In fact, she often acknowledged him with a small nod, as if it reassured her. At 0300 hours, she finally stood up. "Commander," she said, "I found something." Reyes leaned over her display. The signal had been broken into repeating fragments now, each showing a pattern similar to speech waves. "It is not a message," Lyra said. "It is a warning." Reyes's expression hardened. "A warning about what?" "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But something is moving inside that nebula, something big, and it is not hiding. It wants to be known." Reyes looked toward the glowing fog outside the viewport. Something was coming, and in that moment, he realized the truth. Lyra Voss may have entered his life quietly, But she was already becoming the loudest thought in his mind. Someone he could trust. Someone he needed. Someone whose presence he could no longer ignore. The next morning on Vanguard Station began with tension hanging in the air. People walked faster. Voices were quieter. Every officer kept glancing at the screens showing the shifting blue nebula outside. Something was moving inside it. Something large. And only Dr. Lyra Voss seemed to understand the strange warning signal echoing from that cosmic fog. Commander Race Calder stood on the command deck, sipping a cup of bitter station coffee. He barely tasted it. His mind was on Lyra's words from the night before. "It is a warning." Warnings were not new in frontier space, but this one felt different. It didn't sound like a threat. It almost sounded like fear. "Commander," came a voice from behind him. He turned. Lyra stood there with a tablet in her hands, dark circles under her eyes. She had worked through most of the night, but her calm expression remained unchanged. "You should rest," Race said. She smiled faintly. "Later. I have more results." Race motioned for her to join him. Officers stepped aside as she walked onto the command deck. Many of them watched her with curiosity, some with concern. "What did you find?" Race asked. Lyra tapped the tablet, showing a translated waveform. "The signal is repeating faster now. It is not just a warning. It is almost like someone is trying very hard to be understood." "Someone? Or something?" one officer asked. Lyra paused. "Both are possible, but whatever is inside that nebula, it is not random matter. It behaves too intelligently." Ray stepped closer to the screen, hands behind his back. "Can you translate more?" "Yes," she said softly, "but it becomes harder the closer the object gets." "That means it's still approaching?" Race asked sharply. "Yes," Lyra replied. The command deck grew silent. 2 hours later, the station shook from a sudden energy wave. Lights flickered. Screens blinked with warning symbols. "Report!" Race ordered. "Energy surge from the nebula, sir," an officer shouted. "Unidentifiable source. It hit our outer shields." "Raise all defenses," Race commanded, "and keep the long-range sensors on maximum." Lyra stood beside him, gripping the edge of the console tightly. "Commander, this surge matches the rhythm of the signal." "So it's a message?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "It's panic." Race looked down at her. Her eyes were usually steady, but now he saw worry behind them. "Explain," he said. Lyra took a slow breath. The signal was trying to communicate a warning, but something inside the nebula is not just sending data. It is reacting, emotionally, like something alive, but also artificial. "Artificial?" Race repeated. "Yes, not a living creature. Not a machine either. Something in between." The room fell silent again. Something unknown. Something powerful. Something scared. On the frontier, that mixture always meant danger. That evening, Race called an emergency council in the strategy room. The officers sat around the long metal table, murmuring nervously. Lyra sat quietly at the end, her hands folded. Race began, "Dr. Voss believes the signal is not from a ship or a fleet. It is from a single entity." "A creature?" an officer asked. "Possibly," Lyra said, "but not biological. More like something built, a construct with its own awareness." A scientist across the table frowned. "Who would build something like that?" Lyra hesitated before saying, "A long-extinct species known as the astral weavers. They disappeared thousands of years ago. We only have fragments of their language. That's why I was transferred to this station. I was the only one still studying their structures." Race raised an eyebrow. "You didn't mention that earlier." "I wasn't sure it mattered," Lyra replied softly. "But now, it matters a lot." Why? He asked. Lyra tapped her tablet, projecting an image. It showed a huge biomechanical shape, made of glowing threads and shifting armor plates. This is the only known illustration of a null-born guardian, she said. A massive construct created to protect Weaver's worlds. But their creators are gone, a lieutenant said. Yes, Lyra answered, but guardians were built to follow their last command. They would search endlessly for the worlds they were assigned to protect. Race narrowed his eyes. And if they never find them? They might lose stability. Their programming would twist. They may begin to consume energy, destroy space, or collapse stars while searching. The room went cold. So you think there is a guardian in that nebula? Race asked. Lyra nodded. The signals match their old language patterns, and the size of the energy waves fits historical reports. Silence stretched across the table. Then someone whispered, "We're not ready for something like that." Race straightened. "We don't run. We prepare." One officer swallowed hard. "Commander, it's enormous. Shields won't last. Weapons won't penetrate." Race's voice remained steady. "Humans don't survive on strength. We survive on adaptation. HFY, humanity, F. Yeah, was the silent motto of every frontier commander. Humans fought not because they were powerful, but because they refused to surrender. Race turned to Lyra. "Can we communicate with it?" Lyra looked down, conflicted. "I'm not sure, but I can try." Race nodded firmly. "Do it." Late that night, Lyra sat alone in the communication lab. The screens around her displayed the shifting patterns of the signal. She listened carefully, eyes half closed, focusing on the rhythm. Race entered quietly. "Progress?" "A little," she said. "It is speaking faster now. The words are broken, but the emotion behind them, I recognize it." "What does it feel like?" he asked. Lyra looked at him, her expression soft but weighted. "It feels like a child calling out in fear." Race felt a chill run through him. A giant, ancient machine with the fear of a lost child. That combination could destroy entire regions of space. Race pulled up a chair beside her. "You're not working alone tonight." She opened her mouth to protest, but he shook his head. "You need rest," he said. "But until you rest, I stay here." For a moment, she looked at him with something like gratitude. Then she returned to the screen. "Listen," she said, replaying the message. "This part repeats. It sounds like empty path, broken home, danger near." "It thinks something is threatening it?" Race asked. "No," she said slowly. "It thinks something is threatening us." Race stared at her in disbelief. "Why would it care about humans?" Lyra's voice turned even softer. "Because it thinks we might be like its creators. Small, intelligent, fragile creatures who need protection." Race sat back, thinking deeply. "If it sees us as weavers, we might be able to reach it." "Maybe," Lyra said. "But if it gets too close, the gravity waves alone could tear the station apart." Race stood up. "Then we stop waiting." Lyra frowned. "What do you mean?" "We go to it," he said. "We take a ship into the nebula, and you speak to it directly." The words were bold, risky, dangerous, exactly what humanity was known for. Lyra stared at him for a long moment. "Commander, you would come with me?" "Of course," he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "You're the only one who can talk to it. I'm the only one who can keep us alive long enough for you to do that." A quiet warmth spread through her expression. Not loud, not dramatic, but real. "Then we go," she said. The next morning, the entire station buzzed with activity. Crews prepared the stealth corvette Astra 9 for launch. Engineers checked the engines, weapons, and navigation systems. Race and Lyra walked side by side toward the ship. "Are you afraid?" Race asked. Lyra looked at the nebula through the viewport. "A little, but also curious." Race nodded. Curiosity keeps humans alive. And you? She asked softly. Are you afraid? Race met her eyes. Only of failing to protect this station and its people. Her gaze lingered on him for a moment. You won't fail, she said quietly. Not with me beside you. Race felt something shift once again. Not loud, not dramatic, but strong enough that he knew Lyra was becoming the loudest part of his quiet heart, and he didn't mind it. As they boarded the Astra 9, the nebula outside pulsed brighter than before, like a giant eye opening slowly. Something inside it moved, something waited, something cried out across the void, not in anger, but in fear, and humanity was about to answer. The stealth corvette Astra 9 glided out of Vanguard Station like a silver arrow entering a storm. The blue nebula ahead shifted like slow waves of glowing fog, hiding something massive within. Every officer watching the launch felt the weight of the mission. Commander Race Calder and Dr. Lyra Voss were flying into the unknown. Inside the ship, the lights were dim. The hull vibrated softly as the engines hummed. Lyra sat at the communication console, watching lines of signals dance across the display. Race sat in the pilot seat, hands steady on the controls. Engaging nebula entry, Race said. Ready, Lyra answered. The moment Astra 9 crossed the nebula boundary, everything changed. The space around them shimmered like water. Gravity twisted, lights flickered. Keep the stabilizers on full, Race said calmly. Lyra's fingers moved gently across the console, adjusting the translation software. The signal is stronger here, clearer. It feels close. Race didn't respond. He tightened his grip as the ship shook violently. Then, the fog parted, and the Nullborn Guardian appeared. It was enormous, larger than battleships, larger than any living creature known to humans. Its body looked like a mix of metal and glowing thread, shaped like an ancient sea creature with long, drifting tendrils. Its single central eye pulsed with bright white light. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Lyra breathed out slowly. It's awake. The Guardian turned, its glowing eye fixing on the small ship approaching it. Energy ripples spread across its body like waves of fear. Race braced himself. It's reacting to us. No, Lyra said softly. It's reacting to me. She stood slowly, feeling something pull her forward, an emotional pulse inside her mind, like a distant heartbeat calling out. Race looked at her sharply. Lyra, stay focused. Don't let it draw you in. I'm okay, she whispered. It's not trying to hurt me. But the Guardian released another wave of energy. Astra 9 shook violently, alarms ringing. Race grabbed the controls. If it continues like this, we won't last long. Lyra moved quickly to the communication array. Let me try speaking to it. She activated the neural translation system. A soft glow filled the cabin as her voice connected with the Guardian's ancient frequency. She spoke slowly, calmly. Guardian, we hear you. The giant creature paused. The energy waves stilled for a moment. Lyra continued, We are not your enemies. We are travelers. We are lost, just like you. The Guardian's glowing eye dimmed slightly. Its tendrils moved with less chaos, more curiosity. Race watched with tense focus. It's listening. Lyra's voice grew softer. Your home is gone. Your creators are gone. But you are not alone. Not anymore. The Guardian emitted a deep sound, a mix of metal and emotion. Not speech, but feeling. A feeling Lyra understood. Sorrow. A powerful wave of sadness and confusion washed over her mind. She staggered slightly. Race caught her arm. Lyra, stay with me. She nodded quickly, steadying herself. I'm fine. It's just overwhelmed. Race looked at the massive creature outside. How do we calm it? We show it we're not afraid, she said. We show it we want peace. Race nodded. Humanity had always survived by courage, not strength. "Then let's do it," he said firmly. Lyra closed her eyes and sent another message, shaping her voice into the Guardian's old language rhythm. "You are safe. We understand your fear. You are not a weapon. You are not alone." The Guardian's body glowed brighter. The energy around it stabilized. Slowly, it moved closer, like a giant creature approaching a gentle voice. Suddenly, its mind connected with Lyra's more deeply. Images raced through her head. Ancient weavers, small glowing beings building the Guardian with love and hope, a world of soft light, a final goodbye as war destroyed their planets. The Guardian had searched for them ever since, drifting through the cosmos like a lost child looking for home. Lyra's eyes filled with emotion. She whispered, "You were made to protect. You're still protecting, but your home is gone, and you don't know how to live without it." Race watched her closely. "Lyra." She opened her eyes. "Commander, it's not attacking us. It's calling out to us." The Guardian released a long, low sound. Its tendrils lowered, no longer threatening, but its energy core pulsed dangerously, unstable from centuries of confusion. "If it collapses," Race said, "it'll destroy everything in the nebula, including us." Lyra nodded. "We need to stabilize its mind, guide it, give it a new purpose." Race stared at her. "How?" "By giving it something to protect again," she said softly. "By giving it us." Race took a steady breath. It was a bold idea, a human idea, an HFY idea. "Do it," he said. "Humanity never walks away from the lost." Lyra stood at the center of the cabin and activated the neural broadcast fully. Light surrounded her. Her voice echoed like soft glass. "Guardian, listen. Your creators are gone, but their spirit lives through us. We are fragile, like they were. We are explorers, like they were. And we need you." The Guardian's eye widened. Its huge body moved closer, gently wrapping Astra 9 in a field of glowing energy, not crushing, but holding. Race tensed. "Is this safe?" "Yes," Lyra whispered. "It's trusting us." She placed her hand on the screen as if touching the creature through glass. "You are not alone," she said again. "You have a new home now, a new people, a new purpose." Something inside the Guardian shifted. Its core pulsed slower. Its chaotic threads straightened. Its energy stabilized, like a heart finding its rhythm. A deep, soft sound filled the nebula, a sound of acceptance. Race looked out the window, stunned. "You did it." "No," Lyra said. "We did it." She turned toward him. For a moment, the chaos of space faded, and they stood there, two humans facing an ancient Guardian with quiet courage. Race felt something strong inside him, something he had ignored for a long time. He looked at Lyra and realized she had entered his life softly, like a whisper. But now she was the loudest part of his heart. The Guardian slowly drifted away, opening a safe path through the nebula. It would follow the Astra 9 back to Vanguard Station, not as a threat, but as a protector. Race guided the ship home. When they arrived, the entire station exploded in cheers as the massive Guardian appeared behind the tiny corvette like a gentle giant returning from the dark. Lyra smiled softly. "They're surprised." Race nodded. "Humans always expect monsters. They never expect miracles." She turned to him. "Thank you for trusting me, Commander." He looked at her, his voice steady but warm. It wasn't trust. It was instinct. "And your instinct is strong," she said. "So is your heart," he replied quietly. Lyra looked at him, her eyes brighter than the nebula outside. That night, Vanguard Station celebrated its survival. Engineers, officers, and scientists told stories of the mission. The massive Guardian floated outside like a silent guardian angel. Ray stood with Lyra near the observation window, watching stars drift by. "You changed everything," he said. "No," she corrected softly. "We changed everything." Race looked at the nebula, then at her. "You walked into my life so quietly," he said. "I almost didn't notice." She smiled gently. "And now?" "Now," Race said with calm certainty, "you are the loudest part of my heart." Lyra's smile widened, quiet, warm, and real. Side by side, they stood there as humanity gained a new protector, a new friend, and a new chapter in its history. The Guardian glowed softly in the distance, its light echoing Lyra's message across the stars. "You are not alone," and neither were they.